for another episode with Dr. John Lay, and I am Jessie Pires, RD2B with LaydBackFitness. We are going to kind of go off of a podcast that we recently just did. So Heart Health Part 2, if you will. We're going to dive into some nitty gritty of some food. I know we spoke a lot about, the disease state of heart health and just what we can do to get tested and all that good stuff. But like John said, it starts with what you eat. So let's talk about some food. Then we're just going to get into some other fun stuff as always.
Wait a minute.
Oh, here we go.
I want to know what you did this week.
There we go.
To improve your heart health.
Wow, you put me on the spot. Okay. I am taking my vitamin D3 or vitamin D with potassium, which John told me that it was the chewable, so I jumped on it. So I am making sure that I am getting adequate and proficient vitamin D in order to maintain the high D levels to lower disease state. And I worked out 6 times and ate healthy, and I meditated a lot this week. I know that's something totally not supplement or whatever, but that's important too. Meditation and taking time for yourself, that helps inflammation in general. So,
well, I'm glad you didn't mention your Stairmaster, because I would have had to have called you out on that. I didn't know that you could actually lay down and still be on the Stairmaster, but evidently you have figured out a way to turn that into a couch.
Let me just defend myself really quick here. All right, let me just defend myself. I don't care what anybody says. The Stairmaster is very difficult. And I am fairly new to the Stairmaster. So I'm not going to lie. I might have been leaning over the sides more than I should have. And I got called out from across the gym. I saw a speckled gray hair man give me this motion and told me to get up, and I did. But it's remember, 1% better every week. No, really though, the Stairmaster is so difficult, especially after leg day. It's it just burns so bad, and I am getting better. Thank you.
So how long do you do the Stairmaster actually?
So 20 minutes on the Stairmaster, steady state, and then I do 20 minutes of the elliptical on 4 days a week, and then 2 days a week after that. So 4 days a week is that 5, 6. So the other 2 days I do 20 minutes. So my cardio this week has been cut and my food has gone up. So what my coach is trying to do is I'm losing weight, which is good, but I need to eat. Now we're eating even more. So we're reducing cardio to get more food, and then kind of just see where the body levels out. And then she'll reduce the cardio again, more food. So it's just seeing where your body is more adapted. But the cardio at the end just stinks. Just stinks. I turn the fan off. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to sweat it out, So also I went in the sauna this week, which was my first time in a sauna ever. And I only lasted 17 minutes. It was hot. Very hot. Yeah. What did you do to improve your heart health?
What did I do to improve my heart health? Yep. I watched you do a lot of Stairmaster.
Stop.
Yeah, so we of course we did our workouts through the week. Thinking about changing that actually. Next week, Philly has, he's got several different tracks to follow. Okay. And what we've been on the last, I guess, almost a month now, he calls his Perform, which is more functional. It's a bodybuilding aspect to it, but then there's also some CrossFit aspects to it.
Yes.
But I'm thinking Monday, just for kicks and giggles, I may switch to what they call their pump, which is more their lifting. They still end with like a Metcon of some sort.
Okay.
But it's not as much as before. The one thing that they don't have when you do the pump is they don't do clean and they don't do snatches.
So lifting, you mean like back squats, deadlifts, or like more like bodybuilding lifting?
Bodybuilding lifting.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
You know.
So that's
he
awesome.
loves tempo, you know.
He loves tempo. My goodness.
Yeah.
He's the tempo master.
And the rower.
And the rower. I'm like, you think I mean, you're giving me about the Stairmaster. You're always on that rower. Good Lord.
Yeah, but I'm not laying down on the rower.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So yeah, we did some assault bike this week too, some rower, and then 1, 2, 3, I guess 5 days of running.
Yeah. I love today. Which I love his programming because some of his movements, like he goes so old school, like something as simple as like the Chinese rows. Like I knew what they were, but I haven't done them in like years. And he just he does a great job in incorporating, like you said, functional movements that just work. So ups to Marcus Philly. Love his stuff. Speaking of heart health, let's get into some foods. All starts with the food. So
it's good to talk about this now because I am starving.
Yeah, me too. We got to hurry this up. All right. So go low sugar and carbs. So like John said in the video before, part 1 is sugar is addicting. So addicting. And that increases inflammation and triggers chemicals that we don't want in your body. So in regards to food, I think the big thing that people kind of like get confused about is what diets should I do? Diet. That's a big question that I've heard a lot is, okay, I want to improve heart health or I want to improve my diabetes or whatever. What diet should I do? Should I do paleo? Should I do vegan? Should I do keto, the Mediterranean diet, heart healthy diet, which is pretty much very, very similar. And I personally try to not use the word diet. It's very difficult because it's kind of hard to find something in relation to that word, but I say healthy choices or healthy way of eating. And when it comes to heart disease, we are trying to rid as much inflammation as we can. Like John said that I love, it's whole body inflammation. You don't just twist your ankle and you're inflamed. So talk to me, John, about some inflammatory foods and what the word inflammatory means.
All right. I'll say this first. I don't like diet either.
Okay, cool.
The first 3 letters of diet spell what?
Wow.
Die, right? But people get confused too, because I think most of the time people think of diet, they just think I'm trying to lose weight.
Yes.
Right. And it's not that. It's like a meal plan. It's how you want to eat. Typically, we mentioned DNA testing before in another, I guess the last podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to get crazy about it, you can have your DNA tested, and it will tell you how you're genetically set up to eat.
Right.
I've had that done, and for me, it's a Mediterranean type plan is what's best for me.
Right.
Which is good because I kind of feel like that's a little more rounded meal plan, diet plan, for lack of to use the word I just said I don't like.
No, it's true. That most people know. So,
Yeah. And so some of the things that you don't want to have is you don't want to have refined sugars, right? Okay. It's fruit, sugars that you get from fruits and things like that. Okay. Now, I would try to get a lot of those things organic, because when you get into the genetically modified fruits, they're going to have a whole lot more sugar to them.
Correct.
Than a good, clean, organic apple, for example.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because food companies want you to like it and they want you to buy more of it.
Yes.
And, you know, so, which is not always a bad thing, but again, we're just getting more sugar that way.
Right.
You want to stay away from certainly Cokes, sodas, things like that, fruit juices.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people drink fruit juices thinking that they're doing something healthy, and you know, and really they're just having a big old glass of refined sugar at that point. Vegetable oils, things that you want to stay away from. You know, I grew up in the South, so this one hurts me to say, but fried foods.
Woo!
It
hurts.
It hurts bad. So I may go get some fried chicken when we leave. No. But so fried foods you want to stay away from, you know, refined flours and things. Grain-fed meats even can increase inflammation in your body. Yes. So, you know, people who want to go high protein and low carbs, I'm all for that. But let's look at where that meat's coming from.
Yeah, right on.
Artificial sweeteners. You know, how many heavy people do you see drinking diet drinks?
A lot.
Right?
Yes.
Most of them.
Most. Yes. Agreed.
And you got the issues with the fake sugars, but also you've got, so the way your brain works is when you eat sugar, it has a caloric content to it.
Okay.
So you eat the sugar, it tastes sweet, it tastes good, it triggers whatever in your brain, but it also has a few calories to it.
Correct.
So your body expects there to be some calories there.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a fake sugar, there are no calories to it.
Zero.
Triggers the same thing in your brain, but now you don't have those calories in there, so now you're still slightly hungry.
Yes.
Than you were. So that actually, drinking a lot of diet drinks, fake sugar drinks, things like that, can actually lead to more overeating than just actual sugar.
Yeah.
Which we already know is not good for us, and we can get into, you know, break some of that down here in a minute. Processed meats you want to stay away from. You know, a good old fried bologna sandwich, not a whole lot better than that, right? But
nope. Put some mustard on it. Yummy.
But need to stay away from it, and gluten for the most part, you know. And I think a big thing with the gluten is Roundup. And
oh my goodness.
You know, one of the things that they do with wheat is, you know, it takes so long. The wheat grows, it's green. You got to wait for it to die off, brown out before you can harvest it, right?
Right.
One of the things that they'll use Roundup for is to actually spray it, kill it quicker, so they can harvest it quicker and get it going.
I make more money. Absolutely.
Right. So you've got the Roundup in that. Yep. I heard a study. I need to find this and share it with you. But where I think up in the Antarctica, they dug something up in the Antarctica that actually had hints of Roundup in it. So Roundup gets in the air and it's everywhere, right? So it's encircling the globe now at this point. And I get the idea of Roundup and that kind of stuff and what people wanted to do with it when it was first developed, and I understand all that. But it's also not something that you want to eat either, and it's getting into our foods.
That's why I like what you said, like about the organic issue. Like if you can, like, try and get your fruits and veggies organic, just because if not, I think I said this on our very first or number 2 podcast, strawberries have the most, they did a study not organic. So regular strawberries have the most Roundup in any other fresh fruit or vegetable. It's disgusting. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Dirty dozen, right?
Dirty dozen, absolutely. So from my point of view in regards to the inflammatory foods, I completely agree, especially with the sodas and the juices. And then getting into the vegetable oil. So this was just me being super nerdy. I love this. When oil breaks down, it begins to oxidize. Okay. And it releases all these free radicals everywhere. And then these have negative consequences on health, which can cause cellular damage. So the more vegetable oil you're eating, the more you're creating those free radicals, i.e., inflammation. So, just trying to substitute with different oils in cooking, it would just make a huge benefit. Fried foods, that's a hard one. That's very hurtful. I hear you. Refined flour, that's really not talked about a lot. And so whole grains can contain like 3 different components to a whole grain per se. What happens when you have refined flour is it's processed to remove 2 different parts that the whole grain has. So the moment that you're taking something out, it's refined and it's going to cause inflammation in the body the more you eat it. And fed meat, I love this because I agree. You want to eat a lot of protein. I am all for that. But let's look at the source. Let's talk about what kind of protein you're eating and make sure that it has, it's clean. A lot of people use that word now, clean. It's clean. Well, yeah, I agree with that. Is it clean or is it, beefed up with other stuff? So the artificial sweeteners, this is probably, like, we all have pet peeves in life, or we all, we're in the healthcare field. We all have our things. This is I'm very passionate about artificial sweeteners. Most people are thinking they're doing a great job. Oh, great. There's no zero sugar or 0 calorie or zero, whatever. If you really look into the damage, like you said, that artificial sweeteners can do, it's astounding. So artificial sweeteners, not to get into super medical terms, but basically anything that ends in etol, ITOL. So mannitol, sorbitol, xylitol, whatever. You have saccharin, you have sucralose, aspartame. There's all these different kinds. But like John said, your body's expecting to have calories. And when you don't have that, you're more prone to eat more. So maybe you're going to eat more fried food. Maybe you're going to eat more lunch meat, the bologna sandwich, which tastes delicious. And like John said, with gluten, it's a specific protein in wheat, barley, and rye. Some people might be sensitive to it. Some people might not. But really, just gluten has just really started to be researched in regards to inflammation for most people. Not all people, but for most people. So foods that combat inflammation. So people are, well, what foods should I eat, or what foods are going to help me? So foods that fight off inflammation. I love using that term, like food fighting inflammation. That's my favorite, FFI. I would say green leafy veggies. 100%. That's my number one go-to for, my patients and stuff. Let's get some green leafy veggies in there. Let's do some kale. Let's do some spinach. Let's do some collards. I don't like collards, but let's
what? Now what? Huh?
I can't do collards. I can't.
You eat curdled milk, but you won't eat collard green?
Cottage cheese is so good. I haven't had cottage cheese in years, but I'm telling you, if you put a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then some peaches on top, beautiful.
Negative.
Beautiful.
If I'm putting peaches on anything, it's going to be ice cream.
Whatever. So collards are great. Olive, like John said, with the oils. So olive oil, avocado oil, I cook with that. and coconut oil are phenomenal substitutes. And I think if someone just changes that, like let's say the first step for them starting small is to not cook with vegetable oil anymore. Like that's huge. That's such a great improvement. One little thing of how you cook your food, it's going to add up in the long run. Um, Fatty fish, I'm big on, you getting your omegas in there, you're fighting off, the great way to substitute some, for inflammation. Salmon, mackerel, tuna, sardines, which I don't eat sardines. Do you eat sardines?
No, I don't. I have never. My dad used to eat sardines. And my brother would eat them, and I refuse to try. I've never even tried them.
I can't.
I'm like, no,
I
I'm not.
physically can't. I physically can't. So props to you guys if you eat sardines, like keep doing it because you're fighting off that inflammation. And berries. A lot of people know that they have, great for antioxidant. I mean, great for inflammation. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, cherries, and oranges. Those are the ones that I would stick to. If you're starting new, or if, something as simple as just adding it on top of oatmeal, or maybe having a cup of berries a day, like something simple that would really, really help you in the long run. And low glycemic foods. So the low glycemic foods have such a benefit on the heart health. And while you're benefiting your heart health, it can help with weight. It can help with blood sugar. So I always try and say, low glycemic, and some people don't know what that means. Most people don't know what that means. Really, it's just a nice tool. Like the glycemic index is just a tool that better promotes like blood sugar management. So factors that can influence it, like are the GI, like the gut nutrition and the composition, cooking method, the ripeness of foods, the processing amount, and things like that. So we really want to stick with low glycemic foods that haven't been processed. There's really nothing going on. That's why we say a lot of berries and green leafy veggies and stuff like that. The higher you go, the more processed it'll be. And then that's what can cause inflammation. So, but yeah, I can't do sardines. Sardines are a no-go. Collards are a no-go. I don't really like cherries either, but I'll do all the other stuff. So
Yeah. You don't like cherries?
no, I can't do cherries.
I noticed you didn't put Brussels sprouts on your list.
Absolutely not. Can't do it either. Michelle, your wife said I have to try your Brussels sprouts. I'm very open to that. I say that I don't like things, but I am very open, so that's a plus.
One thing about the foods that you mentioned, and they're all good, is, and we talked about this in the last video, is just making sure you don't have a sensitivity to some of those things.
Right on.
And we mentioned you can test for it. You can try to experiment with it if you want to.
That's hard.
It is.
That's hard.
And it's long, right?
Correct.
You're going to have to drop things out for 6 weeks or so and see how you feel and add it back in. Does it change? And
stick to it.
And that kind of stuff. And I haven't, I mentioned that I have a sensitivity to oats.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not huge. It's not one where I just need to completely drop them out.
Right.
But I did for a while, and then I've worked them back in now a couple times a week. And I haven't noticed a change. So for me, I don't know that I can really figure that kind of stuff out unless it just, unless it just immediately bloats me or makes me throw up. I don't know that I'm gonna figure out something like that. But some people can. Some people are really in tune to how food makes their bodies feel,
and that's awesome. That's awesome that they are, because like it's hard. It's hard. So so that's why, I mean, personally, I would just get tested and just so I can know. Because like you said, John, if people think like I'm allergic or I'm sensitive or whatever, that it has to be bad foods. I don't want to use bad, but unhealthy food. It doesn't. people are allergic, like your friend are allergic to avocados. One of the
Yeah.
best ways to get your fat content is avocados, guacamole. So I think, getting tested in also in a together tied in with foods that are fighting your inflammation are just two ways that you really can dive deep into your heart health. You're eating what makes your gut happy. So no inflammation there, and you're eating the right foods to help decrease your heart, your heart condition, your heart disease. That's just such a great combination. It really is.
Yeah.
So, and working with, and I also think it's all who you're working with. A great dietitian, a great doctor that leads you in the right direction, that can get you testing, that can get you, if maybe, like you said, starts with the tile, but the grout is supplementation. Well, maybe you do need to be on supplementation. Maybe you don't. So working with professionals that really are in tune with that as well. And then, so assuming, that there's no sensitivities for a patient, for somebody, healthy fats and damaged fats. I've never put those two into categories, and I love that. So, John, talk to me about healthy fats versus damaged fats. I really like that.
So healthy fats are going to be the ones that are, that are more natural, right?
Okay.
And they're more of a natural state. So your olive oils, your fish oils, coconut oils, coconut products in general, raw nuts that you can get. Although I'm not a big almond fan, but some of the other nuts out there, grass-fed meats, the free-range chickens and all that kind of stuff. Avocados you mentioned are a great source of those things, and then flax and chia seeds, right? And
love those.
When we make our overnight oats, we always try to make sure that we put some chia seeds in there, because typically we don't have a lot of fat in that stuff. So it's just a little extra.
And I love flax and chia seeds. You know why? Because like you said, it's so easy to add into, like if you're doing maybe a yogurt parfait, like add in a little bit of chia seeds, flax seeds, if you're, Billy my fiance, he doesn't do Greek yogurt, he does coconut. It's a substitute, very sensitive to dairy. And I put some chia and flax seeds, which are phenomenal, not only for heart health, but for digestion purposes too. And then when I make his smoothies, I'll dump some of each in there. It's a great way. Like you said, you can do it with your oats. I even do it in pancakes that I make. So just that's a simple way that somebody can start engaging in the healthy fats. So what are some damaged fats per se?
So damaged fats are going to be any kind of trans fats that you get. So, you're going to see those listed on labels and all that kind of stuff when you're at the grocery store. And I heard somebody say, watching a video, that if it has a food label, it's probably not food. So you want to probably stay away from that, and that's going to be one place that you get a lot of trans fats. Canola and vegetable oils. You touched on that, and then commercial meat and dairy. So grain fed, that kind of stuff that are being produced at a large, quick rate. Just to get it out to people so people can have something to eat. And now, so here's the thing with that. I don't mind necessarily that people do that, because one, people need food, right? And you've got supply and demand out there. If everything was grass fed, with the numbers of people that we have trying to eat things out there, the prices would be astronomical and you could barely find anything.
Yeah, food
scarcity.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think the commercial meats and dairies and things like that, they have their place, at least the meats. Not a
Yeah.
huge dairy guy. But if you're eating a lot of them, then you're getting a lot of these damaged fats that are just going to cause some damage in your body if you get too much of that.
And I want to touch back on cold cuts, lunch meat. I love lunch meat. Let me tell you, salami is my favorite. I could just eat it by the slice. Very high in fat, very high in sodium. So when people, maybe not salami, but like let's just say turkey breast or chicken breast, like the lighter meats per se, I think people think they are doing a great job. And listen, there's a place and time for lunch meats. Again, it's all about balance. I'm not trying to categorize foods, but in just relation of inflammation purposes, if you're really trying to work on your heart health and just rid the inflammation that you have, I would really stay away as much as possible from the lunch meats, even if you do get the low sodium ones, because they still contain a lot of sodium, even if it's low sodium. I mean, the boar's head, low sodium, chicken breast, it's delicious. We get the barbecue chicken. I probably do it once a month, just to have some different variety in there for lunches. But for people that are really trying to rid the inflammation, I'm not saying you can't have it, but maybe in that portion of your journey, just sway away from it a little bit. And same thing with dairy, just because it's so inflammatory. And there's been multiple studies that, can back that it's inflammatory. I'm with you. I stay away from dairy as much as possible. Do I want to? No, I'm Italian. It's very difficult. So with that being said, I would just sway away, these foods that John and I are talking about. This doesn't mean you have to, I mean, let me revert back. You should, as much as possible, try and eat these in your everyday life. But especially if you are already inflamed, I think that maybe focusing on just these are going to help get you to the point that you can go out and maybe have a slice of pizza with your friends or your family or whatever, but get back on it. We're not categorizing food. We're not saying food is good or bad, but in regards to just, someone being so inflamed, these foods are just a great way to rid that as much as possible. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I love sandwiches, right? And you're gonna and most of the time you're gonna make a sandwich with some sort of lunch meat, deli meat, something along those lines.
Cheese.
And
Yeah.
and it my son texted me while we're doing this, and he wants me to run by Jersey Mike's and actually get him a sandwich on the way home. So, but I love those kinds of things, but it is something that you've got to do. It needs to be an every now and then thing.
Yeah.
Not a, this, I do this every day thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Or even, you don't want to even do it like 2 or 3 times a week. Especially if you're in, and we've mentioned this before, if you're borderline or in a disease state, you need to stay away from it for a while completely. And then as you get healthy, then you can start to maybe work some stuff in here and there.
Yes.
I mentioned in our last video, my friend whose family had a genetic predisposition to heart disease.
Yes.
And how he's lived way longer than anybody else in his family has.
Right.
When he and his wife really got serious about changing what they ate, they would have, he wouldn't call them cheat days. He called them vacation days or where they would maybe go get some ice cream or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But he said after a while, they, let's say they go eat some ice cream, they both would feel so bad after eating that ice cream because they hadn't had anything in so long that now they just don't do it.
So touching base on that, so funny you mentioned that. So my fiance and I don't want to say I've always been in tune with my eating, but it's been a huge part of my life. Once a week, and again, people can look at this as being super, super extreme or not. Once a week, we go out to wherever we want. And it might be a dinner, it might be a lunch, it might be a breakfast, and we eat what we want. And that's our date night, date day, whatever. And about 6 to 8 months ago, we would do kind of like, your friends. We would go and we would do this and that. And we would just feel so sick. Like my fiance's stomach would get so like blown up. I would feel terrible, just like swollen and it just wasn't good. So now what we do is, now that we are so, in tune with our eating and we really work, I personally eat a lot of these, these anti-inflammatory foods. I don't have any heart issues, but I want to protect my heart as much as I can. We maybe do something like instead of doing a dinner and a dessert or an appetizer, dinner, dessert, we pick one and it's so much better. So, for the people that are in chronic inflammation in regards to heart health, we aren't saying that you can't get to that point either, because you will. Everybody, if you guys can do it. I love to push people. I love to always be positive. If you focus on these things for at least 6 months, I would say you are going to not only feel so much better, but the moment that you go back to the anti-inflammatory foods, you're going to notice how different your body feels after eating maybe some KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And it's crazy because you're going to sit in that moment and you're going to say, wow, I used to eat that every single day or 4 to 6 times a week. And you'll see and notice the transition. And with my fiance's mom, so she's in pre-diabetes right now. And I've worked with her one-on-one, and we have done this exact, basically anti-inflammatory food, healthy way of eating. And not only has she lost weight, but now she is out of pre-diabetes. Her body mass index is lower. I'm not trying to be, but her fat is down. Okay. Her weight is down, the total fat that she has. And she feels so much better. And that's a 66-year-old woman. So, I think that, which was very inflamed because she grew up in the South and she grew up with vegetable oil and fried foods and sodas every day. So just changing, we've done it now for 4 months, and it's amazing to see that this really can work. It's amazing. One of the reasons why I wanted to become a dietitian. So to be a voice, but let's see. So I printed it. John says he's old and he had to print out the stuff that we were going to talk about. I guess I'm old too. So I want to touch base on some ways to clean out your arteries. A lot of people may have heard clogged arteries or your arteries or whatever. So John, talk to me about some ways that we can clean out our arteries.
So getting your B vitamins, for sure. Folate, B6, B12 have been shown significantly to reduce arterial thickness.
Okay.
Which is going to help increase the pliability there of those. Garlic. I know you're not a big garlic fan. But but so garlic is a good one. L-arginine foods,
Yes.
right? So some of those foods would be like chicken,
Chicken.
pumpkin seeds, actually. Um, Turmeric is a good one.
Hmm.
Everybody's starting to hear about turmeric nowadays out there. Uh, so it's readily available in some places. You want to look at the different forms and things
Yeah.
like that. Um, and then sesame seeds
Mhm.
uh, is a good one too to get, that'll help clean those things out.
Um, Fun fact about pumpkin seeds. So now you got to watch with like nuts and seeds, guys, because they could be loaded with a lot of salt. So I would
Yummy.
try, yeah, I know. I would try to stay with the lightly salted or the unsalted. Personally, I get unsalted and I put Himalayan salt on top myself and it tastes great. So pumpkin seeds actually the shell itself, so the outside, because most seeds you can get shelled, unshelled, like when like pistachios, they have a hard shell, but like pumpkin seeds have a little bit softer shell. The shell itself has boosters of anti-inflammatory components and has been shown that if people just eat so just say a half a cup a day, so maybe like a fourth in the beginning, a fourth at night, that alone has helped lower heart disease. Something as simple as pumpkin seeds, they are so potent in reducing inflammation. And if you actually roast pumpkin seeds, you can boost more inflammation properties because they're roasted. I thought that was so cool. So not
That
that
is cool.
unroasted, pumpkin seeds are bad. I'm just saying that it's really cool to, again, that goes along with food science and how food science really is awesome. But I just thought that was cool. Wanted to touch base on that. And garlic, I mentioned in our last podcast, my grandma is on red rice yeast, which, helps with the basically cholesterol levels, blood flow. My grandma is actually on a garlic pill from this her same doctor that put her on red rice yeast because garlic is so anti-inflammatory. It is just a phenomenal way to increase blood flow and for heart health in general. So that's another option, for your practitioner to maybe put you on as well. So I loved that. That was cool.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
So some of the things that we want to that you want to stay away from, right, are environmental toxins.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be kind of tough to stay away from them.
Yeah.
Since everything you breathe is an environmental toxin, probably
I agree
at
with
this
that.
point.
Yep.
Very little clean air anywhere. We talked about Roundup being found, at the North Pole,
Yeah.
right? So there's stuff circulating out there that we're breathing in all the time.
Yep.
So that's, you got to find a way to detox
Yes.
with that.
Yes.
So touching things, another way that we're going to pick up environmental toxins. The stuff that you drink, water, if you drink tap water, I drink tap water, right? So, but again, it's going to have a whole bunch of crap in it, right? That I take in. A lot of the things that we eat, the stuff that we cook in, how many people cook in nonstick pans?
Most everybody.
Yeah.
100%.
Because they're easy, they're convenient.
Correct.
It's easy to clean, all that kind of stuff. But then, you start bringing stuff into your body that can contribute to cancers and those kinds of things from it too.
Yeah.
you know, the stuff that we wash and clean with, the chemicals that are in that, you know, the thing that gets me in the grocery store is if you happen to turn down the aisle that's got the uh, laundry detergent in it. I am I am not a guy. I don't like strong perfumey smells. Um, but if you go down that aisle, that's all there
All you
is
smell.
are those odors, those things that hit you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like them, and like think they smell good, get their clothes smell good, and that kind of stuff is fine. But they have some toxins in there. We
Yep.
just need to be aware that that kind of stuff is going on.
Yeah.
And then you've got, you know, all the pesticides that are out there, um, herbicides, your towels, your sheets, um, building chemicals, flame retardants in your
Yep.
carpets and your furniture, perfumes and colognes are going to have it. And I'll tell you another one. And we got it. We did a test on my wife not too long ago. Well, it's probably been a year ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that showed up in there was vulcanized rubber. And at that time, we were still at the gym that we used to go to. What's on the floor of that gym?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
You know, so
Wow.
anybody out there who's, you know, if you're going to a CrossFit gym, and I suggest that you do, the most of the floors in those things, because they're dropping the weights and the bumpers and stuff like that,
Rubber mat.
they've put that rubber flooring down. And that vulcanized rubber can be a toxin that gets into your system that contributes to things like that. The moisture wicking shirts
Yes.
out there, it's a lot of plastic in that can get absorbed into the system. So you gotta watch out for these things and do some good things for yourself to help yourself detox that.
Yeah, I love touching on all of these because another big one from a woman's point of view is makeup. So makeup and hair products. Oh my goodness. There have been so many brands that have transitioned to cruelty free, to, you know, no parabens, no blah, 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 all this stuff, because before they were loaded with such just chemicals that I can't even pronounce. I'm not super familiar with, but I know that they were loaded with junk. So even, you know, supporting brands and finding brands that can help, you know, reduce that. I mean, you're putting it on your face, you're putting it in your hair. It's in your skin, you know, it's in the air around you. So that's a big one, even for ladies, makeup and hair products and cleaning supplies. So I just changed up my cleaning supplies to seventh generation, and I love that brand. They're great. I've read their About Me story. They're great people. You know, they just really are trying to be, you know, less harmful on the environment, which means less harmful on us. So I used all of what I had, because cleaning supplies are expensive. And I finished up my Lysols and so on. And I've moved to the seventh generation. And what's so funny is the dishwasher pods. So when I use like just the regular, I think Cascade or whatever, it would always leave this white film, just a little bit. It's like luminescent a little bit, but I would see like white film and stuff. And when I transitioned to the seventh generation, there was nothing. It's, you know, and then that's our what we eat our food out of. So now you're ingesting that, and it's just a whole, you know, full circle. And we can't help most of it. I mean, with everywhere, especially here in Jacksonville, Florida, I mean, back me up, John, there's new apartment buildings, there's new gas stations, there's new this, that, the other, you know, road work and all that stuff. So it's constantly around us. But I think if you're wanting to fight heart disease, if you're trying to rid inflammation as much as possible, even something as simple as changing your cleaning supplies is huge. And, it's so funny you mentioned the dry fit shirts. I didn't know that they had a lot of plastic in them. That's crazy. Um, Dry fit's the new thing. Look at all the
Yeah.
professional sports. Everything's dry fit. Nike dry fit. Hello, that's the NFL. I mean, I worked
Yeah.
with the Jags for a while. That's all they wore. So just doing the best we can in all other areas of your life, I think is just gonna fight chronic inflammation as much as possible. It's hard though. It's hard.
Well, there's a lot out there that we're just going to come in contact with,
Yeah.
and we have to know it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like being healthy strengthens your immune system,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because every day, not only are we coming in contact with toxins in the air, we're coming into contact with bacteria and viruses and things like that.
Yeah.
Breathing them in every day, everywhere we go. Most of the time, 99% of the time, our bodies see it, deal with it, kill it, get rid of it. We never notice it.
No.
But we can't avoid it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here with these toxins. We're not going to avoid all of them. We just have to figure out how best we're going to deal with them. And so and being aware of that is probably the first thing. And then go and do something, change your lifestyle, tweak the way you eat, tweak the way you exercise, those kinds of stuff on it. Set a goal, and it doesn't have to be a hey, I want to make it to the games kind of goal. Maybe the goal is I want to be able to walk for 30 minutes solid.
Yeah.
I think if you can't do that now, that's an awesome goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go and shoot for it. Be stupid like me and set a goal that you're going to do 3 events next year.
Yeah. Crazy.
But I may shoot for that 30-minute walk goal.
Yeah,
actually.
It's true.
Think about it.
It's true, but those, and that's the thing when it comes to fighting heart disease, decreasing, inflammation, just fighting any really chronic diseases out there. It's most people think that it's hard. You got to go hard. You got to go if you got to go super extreme to lose weight or to whatever. You don't. And that's, I love that about you and I, and that's a big reason why we started, LaydBackFitness, is because we want to be realistic. We want to be realistic with attainable goals. That's what I tell my patients all the time. Let's set a realistic, attainable goal that we can get to. And then let's move on. Once you get that, let's move on together. Another realistic, attainable goal. So walking for 30 minutes a day, that's a lot for most people. For the general population, it's a lot for most people. Or doing something simple as changing your cleaning supplies. That's huge. And, over time, like we said, that's just going to add up into so many different things. And, if you want a big goal, whether that's to go to the CrossFit Games or not, I think just dialing back into the basics and realizing that, I did a video for my own personal business of health. Health is hard. Health is super hard. Not, and accepting that it's hard in the beginning, especially if it's something that is new for you, but these new foods, decreasing inflammation. Once you start, don't stop. Keep going, because that's seriously gonna, develop over time into so many different things. And I think most people just get, super overwhelmed, even with something as simple as anti-inflammatory foods. I got to eat all this right away. No, let's dial it back a little bit and start step by step. I got to walk 30 minutes a day. No, maybe 5 is enough. So I think just starting off like that will help in the end,
Yeah. You start with 2 Brussels sprouts, and before long, you're eating a whole bag of them.
I'm gonna stay silent. I'm gonna stay very silent. Very, very silent. And cauliflower, speaking of the things that I know, I know cauliflower is just so. Michelle said that your cauliflower though is really good, and your Brussels sprouts. So,
Well, when you got skills like I do, most things aren't bad. So,
ladies and gentlemen, there's the true colors right there. So,
all right, Red, you got anything else today?
no, I'm super pumped. This was another good one, part two on just kind of the anti-inflammatory and inflammatory foods. And, if you have any questions, like and subscribe as John started last video. If you have any questions, let us know, DM us or anything, or maybe post and tell us about your favorite foods or your journey. We'd love to hear about that too. So,
Yeah, pretty sure there'll be a comment section below here too.
oh yeah, you're right.
So you can like, subscribe, and then
And
hit the
comment below.
So, see, I know you're a little older than I am, so you wouldn't know how this stuff works. But
we're getting better with every episode, people. We're getting better. 1% better every day. All right, guys. Well, we will chat with you soon and have a good one.
See y'all.